Sunt în această lume oameni care nu cred în imposibil și își dedică viața demonstrării acestui lucru. Un om de știință elvețian a făcut de 2 ori înconjurul lumii, fără oprire, o dată într-un balon, iar a doua oară într-un avion alimentat doar cu energie solară. Aceste experimente sunt făcute în numele protejării mediului, pentru care sunt rezolvări la îndemână, adaptate pentru fiecare țară în parte și pentru care nu trebuie să sufere nimeni. Dr. Bertrand Piccard îndrumă guvernele lumii spre soluții eficiente care să nu oblige oamenii să facă sacrificii. Ne explică imediat cât de simplu este de fapt. Sunt Cristina Cileacu. Începe Pașaport diplomatic. Dr. Bertrand Piccard, explorer, psychiatrist and chairman of the Solar Impulse Foundation, welcome to Diplomatic Passport.
Very happy to join you.
Dr. Piccard, you made history by flying twice around the world, first with a balloon non-stop, and second time with a plane that was using only solar energy, no fuel. What did you had to prove?
I wanted to prove that you can do so-called impossible things. Because so often you have people who tell you, you cannot do it. Nobody has done it before. It's impossible. And what I want to prove is that with a good team, with a good technology, with some perseverance, without being afraid of failing, you can achieve really a lot of things. So for the balloon around the world, that was 20 days in the air non-stop. That was maybe more a romantic adventure. It was a bit like the dream of my life. On solar impulse, it was more technological. I wanted to show that you can use renewable energies, clean technologies, and do something that had never been done before, as a proof that you can use these renewable energies and these clean technologies everywhere, because if you can do it in the air, of course you can do it everywhere.
You are quite involved in climate change issues, and all the countries in the world right now are fighting more or less with the possibilities they have against this phenomenon. The world is meeting once a year in so-called COP meetings. Do they work? Because they cost quite a lot, but the results are not there yet. So are there any better solution for that?
I think there is a mistake when we speak about climate change and when we have these big conferences. We put the goal of decarbonization on the table. And then everybody believes that it's going to be detrimental for his economical development. It will be sacrificial. They will lose something and it will be expensive. And they should do it in a different way. They should put modernization and efficiency on the table. Modernization of all our infrastructures. To be more modern, that means to be more efficient. To have new infrastructures that stop to waste energy, stop to waste natural resources. New business opportunities that create jobs by taking the opportunity of protecting the environment. And the decarbonization will come as a result of this good policy and not as the goal. It will just be the result, because if you are more efficient, if you are more modern, you have business opportunities, you create jobs, everybody will go for it. Nobody will resist.
Food was and always will be important for the mankind and is in the center of these climate changes issues. The climate is changing quite fast, as we can see it. Is the technology for creating enough food for a large number of population developing fast enough in order to balance the situation?
Do you know why we have not enough food, not enough energy, not enough raw materials today?
Because we waste?
Because we waste everything. Yeah. We are not efficient. When we produce something, we are wasting too much. So half of the food produced is wasted, 3/4 of the energy. even the waste are wasted because people don't understand it's a resource to reuse them or turn them into energy. So what I'm really promoting with the Solar Impulse Foundation is to be efficient. And if you are efficient, you have enough energy, you have enough food, you have enough raw materials, and you make more profits, and you develop the economy. Because basically, instead of having an economy that runs on the quantity of production, you have an economy that works with the quality of the process, the quality of the efficiency. And you make more profit, and at the same time you protect the environment, and at the same time you have a better life for humankind.
And how is your effort received by the leaders, the political leaders of Europe at least, when you propose to them to become more efficient and talk about realities and to set less unreal targets?
It is very well received, but there is one factor that is missing for them, for the politicians. They agree on the goal, but they don't know how to do it. Very often they just don't know the solutions. And this is why we are working with the Solar Impulse Foundation on promoting all the solutions that we have identified that exist today, that are economically profitable, and which can protect the environment. We have 1,500 of them. So today, when I'm meeting a government, what I am suggesting is to work together with the government to select the solutions that are the most relevant for their country, for their city, for their policy, for their specific conditions. And this is what I suggested to the politicians that I met in Bucharest. It's to train some people from the Romanian government in order to help them to select the solutions that are the best for Romania.
And how was received this proposal?
Well, very well received when we were talking about it. So now I hope there will be a follow-up and we will be able to go into the reality of this collaboration.
And from your point of view, because you do study quite a lot the world, what are the main issues in Romania concerning climate change?
You have a country that has a lot of resources. And I'm really encouraging you to use them even more. You have wind in the Black Sea for wind energy. You have a lot of sun, so you can increase the solar energy. You have a lot of rivers where you can put small turbines along the river to feed villages with electricity. And you have a lot of agriculture. And agriculture is producing food, but it's producing waste from the farms, from the crops. And all this can be turned into into energy, into gas, or into electricity. And you have a company, a startup in Romania that is turning organic waste into gas and electricity. So you have the solutions. Some solutions, you already have them in the country. Now, of course, you have to stop the illegal logging, because if you really look, you earn less money by destroying the forest than by producing biogas with the agricultural waste. So there should be this reframing of the energy production into these new opportunities that create jobs, make money, and give a better life.
Since you brought back into our discussion the agriculture, people, of course, now everyone wants natural food, bio, eco food, more organic food. And this is a good thing, but in the same time, we do hear about food created in the laboratories or food made from insects. How will the food of the future will look like, in your view?
I believe that we have to keep food as something that is alive. I'm not sure that the food produced in the laboratory is something really alive. I'm not sure yet. I have some doubts. But what I believe is that food with insects, for example, or worms, is something that is tasting good, It is something you can produce on an industrial level, and it's healthy. So it's a bit of change in the psychology to be able to eat this. But I tell you, I tested worms and insects that are roasted or fried. It's really delicious. It's like seafood, you know? So why not trying that? But here again, I think that the goal is to eat food that is more healthy and maybe a little bit less of it. Because you have as many people dying from starvation than people dying from obesity in our world.
True.
And obesity comes from bad quality of food, too much sugar, too much of these artificial chemicals. And if you eat good quality of meat, good quality of cereals, good quality of fruits and vegetables, you also need to buy less. So at the end, you have a better quality for a better price.
Well, I agree with you about the insects. I also tried them and they were quite okay. But you mentioned this change of mentality. And if we look to the younger generation currently, they are more interested in things related to the health of the planet. If we look to older generation, those people are less concerned about the future of the planet. Can this be balanced somehow? Do you think we promote in a quite understandable way the realities that we actually facing today?
Today, the people who want to protect the environment are speaking about problems, and very often they are attacking the industry. They are fighting against the economy and the financial world. So it creates a lot of resistance. So the people who are running the country, the people who are creating jobs, they need the economy, the industry, the finance. So finally, they fight against the ecology. And I believe this is what we really fundamentally have to change. We need to show the solutions that give an advantage for both parts. The solutions that protect the environment so the green activists can be happy, and the same solutions have to be economically profitable. They need to create jobs in order to make the economy and the industry and the politicians happy. And this is a new narrative. It's a narrative that brings people together instead of sending them apart.
You've recently been in Bucharest, as you mentioned, and for sure you got stuck in traffic at least one time, but the traffic in Bucharest is nothing comparing with other bigger cities in the world. People seem not to give up this comfort and not giving up the cars. Is it possible to leave something behind from our comfort and to try to engage more for the greater good?
Well, there are some people who understand that they have to take their cars less often. They have to eat less meat. They have to be more respectful for the natural resources. They will not overheat their building. There are some people who do really well. But now, if you make believe that everybody needs to sacrifice his habits, his comfort and his mobility to protect the environment, here again you will create more resistance.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
So this is why, So this is why I believe that we have to give an advantage to the people to change. And if you have good public transport, it's an advantage because you don't have the traffic jams. Or also electric cars. I drive in an electric car. It is so comfortable. It is so much better than a gasoline car that I think this can convince a lot of people to switch to electricity cars, electric mobility. But there is one thing that is important. An electric car is not there only to drive and maybe go in the traffic jam. An electric car should be connected to the grid when you do not drive, so you can store solar energy or wind energy in your battery, and in the evening when there is a peak of demand, instead of switching on the gas power plants or the coal power plants, you discharge the battery of your car to the grid, which means that your electric car becomes a way to stabilize the grid and to help reducing the energy production during the peak of demand. So you see that it's very important, instead of just attacking one sector after the other, to think in terms of ecosystem, to put all the systems into connection and see how it can work better if you connect the dots together.
The world is always looking for cleaner energy as well, so there are those that you already mentioned, wind and solar and so on, but the question is about nuclear energy. Is nuclear energy clean?
Nuclear energy is a very emotional topic. So if you just look at the facts, you have less carbon emissions with nuclear power than with gas, oil and coal. Although you need to refine the uranium, you need to transport it, you need to construct the power plant. So it's not zero carbon, but it's less carbon than fossil energy. But it's not sustainable because you are producing waste that nobody knows how to manage, and it will remain radioactive waste for 250,000 generations. So it's a big paradox. So if you ask my opinion, I believe that we have to keep working the nuclear power plants that exist today. We need to maintain them. What Germany has done by disconnecting them and closing them, I believe is a mistake, because now they are relying on coal instead of clean energy. But I don't see the need to create new nuclear power plants, because it will take more than 15 years to do it. And it's very clear that the price of the nuclear electricity is starting to be today more expensive than the price of wind and solar electricity. So in 20 years, can you imagine? Renewable energies have a price that is really falling down. Nuclear will be going up because of more safety, more modernity and so on. And at the end, it's not a good business. The market will choose renewable energies because it's much cheaper.
We started our discussion with you saying that you wanted to prove that nothing is impossible. Do you find something impossible in this life, or nothing is impossible, as you said in the very beginning of our talk?
We should never say that something is impossible. We should say that it is difficult, or maybe we can say that we don't understand now how to do it. Everybody is asking me, are you going to have solar-powered airplanes to fly with 300 passengers and no fuel? Today, I don't know how to do it. I know how to do it with one person on board. This is solar impulse. I don't know how to do it with 200 or 300 people. But maybe it will happen. Someday. When the Wright brothers made their first flight in 1903, even the inventors of the airplane said it will never cross an ocean. And a few years later, it was crossing oceans with passengers. So we see we need to be open. And what we need is always to stimulate the creativity of human beings, the innovation, and we have to change all the paradigms. The paradigms is when we believe that something is forever like it is. No, the paradigms, the certitudes, the habits are things that we need to change in order to release all the creativity of human beings. We can do so much better than what we do now. And this is what people have to understand. We need to go into this hope that comes from the action of inventing a better future, more than being depressed because the past is not good.
So we have to maintain our curiosity alive.
Absolutely, absolutely. But for this, we need the politicians to put very ambitious legal framework. Because if the legal framework allows to pollute, allows to waste, allows to be inefficient, nobody will use the new solutions. So we need a legal framework to create a necessity to be more efficient, to be cleaner, and this will pull the sustainable solutions on the market.
Well, let's just hope that this impossible will be possible and during our lifetime. Dr. Piccard, thank you so much for this interview.
It was really a pleasure, and I'm remaining completely available to collaborate with the Romanian authorities on identifying all the solutions that your country can develop and implement.
Atât pentru astăzi, dar rămânem în continuare online pe pagina de Facebook a emisiunii și pe contul nostru de Twitter. Revenim cu subiecte noi din lumea diplomației și a politicii externe, vinerea viitoare de la 11:30 și reluare sâmbătă după miezul nopții. La revedere!